Call the meeting to order. Call the roll.
Always welcome.
Trustee Fenton.
Here.
Trustee Dodge.
Here.
Trustee Calandrello. Trustee Healy. Trustee Katsinas.
Here.
Trustee Milani.
Here.
Mayor Pico.
Here. Is that yours?
Please rise for the pledge.
Okay.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of August 17, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Fenton.
move to approve the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting of August 17, 2020.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Fenton.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello.
Aye.
Trustee Healy. Aye. Trustee Milani.
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye.
Approval of September 1st, 2020 special meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman.
Oops.
Trustee Fenton.
I move to approve the minutes of the Board of Trustees special meeting of September 1st, 2020.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Fenton.
Aye.
Trustee Milani.
Aye.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello.
Aye.
Trustee Healy. Aye. Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye.
Accounts payable from August 18, 2020 to September 8, 2020.
I'll entertain a motion to move to approve the accounts payable from August 18, 2020 to September 8, 2020 in the amount of $2,603,647.34.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Fenton.
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello.
Abstain, past client.
Trustee Healy.
I abstain, I have a current client.
I am.
Trustee Milani.
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye. Motion carries.
Consent agenda.
Consent agenda, item A, payroll for August 21st, 2020. Item B, 2019 asphalt maintenance contract extension request. Item C, disposal of village equipment, online auction, Public Works Department ordinance. Item D, winter spring program list approval. Item E, Sertoma Center ordinance for a special use permit for modifications and rezoning. Item F, MAP collective bargaining agreement. I'll entertain a motion to approve items A through F of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, I need to pull off B as in boy for conflict.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve item A and item C through F
So moved, excuse me.
of the consent agenda. Trustee Dodge, and seconded by Trustee Healy.
That was Dodge and Healy.
Dodge and Healy, call the roll.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Healy. Trustee Fenton.
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Milani.
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye. And before we do item B of the consent agenda, we will amend the agenda and we will move the appointment of the chief of police so that everyone can go on with their day who came here to see that. I'm assuming there's no objections to that from the board?
No
Nope.
objections.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to move that the Village Board of Trustees confirm the appointment of Joseph Mitchell to the position of Chief of Police for the Village of Orland Park for the terms of the village manager's appointment effective September 9th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any, what?
Who moved that?
I think everyone did.
I think that was Trustee Katsinas that motioned it and Trustee Milani seconded it, I believe.
I second it.
Or Trustee Fenton seconded it, whomever. They must like you, Joe. They're all jumping at who's going to motion it and second it. Any questions or comments? The only comment that I have is just for everyone's awareness, with our form of government, the person who appoints the chief of police is actually the village manager, and the board approves that appointment. So that's what we're doing tonight. Call the roll.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Fenton.
Aye.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello.
Aye.
Trustee Healy. Aye. Trustee Milani.
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye. Motion carries. Mitchell, if you could come up here and I will swear you in. And is retired Chief McCarthy here? There he is. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Joseph P. Mitchell,
Have been duly appointed as Chief of Police
have been duly appointed Chief of Police
of the Village of Orland Park
of the Village of Orland Park
in the counties of Cook and Will aforesaid.
in the counties of Cook and Will, aforesaid.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
Do solemnly swear to protect the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
I'll faithfully discharge the duties
of the position of Chief of Police
of the position of Chief of Police
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Welcome aboard. As all of you know, that was unanimous because we all have great respect for Bill Mitchell. He's going to be an outstanding chief of police. He's been a deputy for how many years? 5 years, so my entire tenure. Deputy, he does a fine job, and I know that former retired Chief McCarthy, this is his recommendation, and the board wholeheartedly agrees with it. And we're really looking forward to Chief Mitchell extending a very long tradition of fine policing that we have in Orland Park. Thank you very much.
I want to say a few words. I want to thank George for the confidence. I won't let you down. And to the mayor and the village board, thank you. Thank you. I've done this for 26 years. I'm going to work hard for you each and every day. My family, my coworkers, thank you. I love you all. I got your back. I'm going to work hard for you each and every day. I promise you that. To my grandfather in heaven, my inspiring guy, I love you very much. And more importantly, I want to thank Chief McCarthy. He's my mentor. For 26 years, he hired me, he brought me through this organization because he had confidence. Counts me that sometimes I can have. I promise him that I will protect his legacy here in Orland Park. This is his department and always will be his department. Thank you.
Does anybody have any comments now, or would you like to just hold them till board comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Fenton.
I'd just like to wish Chief Mitchell the best of luck. He's got a fantastic staff to work with. They're a super bunch of dedicated individuals, and that's why Orland Park's Police Department is the #1 in the nation. And good luck, and if you ever need anything, you know this board and staff is here to support you.
Mayor Pico?
Any other comments?
Mayor Pico?
Trustee Dodge.
I've always known him as Joe, so it's going to take a while to get used to calling him Chief, but we'll work on that one. Good luck. You know, I think you're going to do a great job leading the force, and certainly a great choice at a really tough time in U.S. history. So, Joe, thank you, and thanks for the whole department.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Katsinas.
I just wanted to say welcome aboard, Chief Mitchell. I've only known you for a short time, but I will tell you, you have been a great help to those of us on the board, and you were exceptionally, did an outstanding job when you were the assistant village manager. You really proved yourself then, and you do it every day. And I thank the men and women of the department for such a strong show of support for the new chief. It's awesome. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Trustee Calandrello.
I just also want to welcome Joe. He's the only police officer I know that has a LexisNexis password, and he uses it with case law. As a state's attorney, I always appreciated that. As a defense attorney, maybe not so much anymore, but I just want to congratulate him. Again, I'm used to calling him Joe, so now Chief's going to be tough to say all the time, but congratulations, a great appointment by the board, and also I want to thank all the officers in the hall today. So the support, that's great. And also, we know, as hopefully you guys all know that we have your backs here on the board. Remember that when budget time comes, Joe. But thank you so much. Congratulations.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani.
I had to join in, of course, right? I learned a lot about the police department working with former Chief McCarthy, and I've learned a lot from Chief Mitchell here in the past few months, and really what a great department we have, and we can't do it without them. So, thank you, both of you, and welcome.
And for those of you who don't know, Trustee Malani is the only trustee that's ever been an ESDA member, I believe. So he has worked with them several times through the last few months. And Trustee Healy, I'm sure you have comments.
Joe, thank you for, you were, before you helped us when we first became trustees, helped us through a rough patch for us, and we appreciate that. And it made me realize that this promotion is based on merit. Not good looks, but merit. But thank you, and we look forward to a safe community. Thank you.
And I guess I'll close it, Joe. I'll have more comments and board comments, but congratulations, well-deserved. You'll do a great job as chief of police, and I think George made a fantastic appointment, and I'm happy to support it, like we are happy to support all of the men and women of the police department, and I'm sure you'll carry on the great tradition, so welcome aboard. Item B.
2019 asphalt pavement maintenance contract extension request.
Mr. Chairman?
Who's that?
Me.
Trustee Malani.
I move to approve the request for extending the existing contract with M&J Asphalt Paving Company of Cicero, Illinois for 2019 asphalt pavement maintenance project to October 30th, 2020, and authorize the expenditure of the remaining contingency funds not to exceed an additional $49,244.
Second.
Any comments?
Yep. Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Malani.
I actually also wanted to pull this off as well, so thank you. I just wanted to kind of clarify what we were extending. I'm looking back at this, and I think this was the asphalt contract that we voted on back in May of 2019, I think. Did it cover several parking lots and walking and bike paths like Stellwagen Farms and other ones throughout the area?
That's correct.
That's what we're extending? Okay. I'm assuming this work was probably delayed due to COVID-19 and some of the other events that have gone on. So this is just an extension to make sure that this is done properly and timely?
Yeah, we just identified additional areas that we're doing for some asphalt patching and so forth.
Okay.
So it's additional work that has been identified.
Okay, so just minor patching, a contract extension? Pretty much, okay. Because I think this is something we did on August 17th as well on the consent agenda with park maintenance, right? We did something similar with Christie Weber. We just extend their contract
Correct.
so they can do additional work, like
Yes.
maintenance on the parks, things
Correct,
like that?
yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Fenn.
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello.
Abstain, past client.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye. Motion carries. Now, I'd like to open the public hearing for Megan Nicole Ridge. Call the roll. Call the roll, right?
Trustee Fenton.
Here.
Trustee Dodge.
Here.
Trustee Calandrello.
Here.
Trustee Healy.
Here.
Trustee Katsinas.
Here.
Trustee Malani.
Here.
Mayor Pico.
Here. I'll turn it over to you, Ed.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Did somebody motion and second it to open it? I didn't hear
No.
that.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to go into public hearing.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Fenton.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye.
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item before the village board tonight is a 9-lot, single-family subdivision at the northeast corner of 88th Avenue and Beverly Lane. On July 6th, the village board approved the site plan rezoning, plat of subdivision, preliminary landscape plan, and variances, and that was all subject to annexation. Because the property was not previously in the village, a public hearing takes place at the planning commission as well as before the village board right now. So it's an opportunity for anyone from the public to comment on the annexation of this property.
And just a quick summary, this is one the planning commission denied with stipulations that they wanted to be done. Those stipulations were done. And then the board originally denied it as well, and then
Right,
the
it
board
was-
approved it when they made the necessary modifications, correct?
That is correct. And the variances that they were requesting were the reduced from the planning commission through to the board approval. So that is correct.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public here to speak? Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing on the annexation agreement for the properties located at 1 through 201. Well, first, are there any comments? I'm assuming we've talked about this a lot, so. So I'll entertain a motion to move to adjourn the public hearing of the annexation agreement for the properties located at 13201 80th Avenue, also known as Megan Nicole Ridge subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Kathy. No, it's Kathy.
Kathy.
Cindy.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Trustee Fenn?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
Fernway Subdivision Roadway and Ditch Improvements 2020 Bid Award and Construction Observation Service Proposal.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Fenton.
move to approve accepting the bid from PT Farrow Construction Company of Joliet, Illinois for the Fernway Subdivision Road and Ditch Improvements for 2020 in the amount not to exceed $1,026,406.77, $933,406.77, plus a $93,000 contingency, and to allow the village manager to approve change orders not to exceed the contingency amount of $93,000, and approve accepting the proposal from Construction Observation Services for, hold up, my computer just went wacky, go away. The Fernway Subdivision Road and Ditch Improvements 2020 from the Christopher B. Burke Engineering LTD of Rosemont, Illinois, in an amount not to exceed $83,566.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
94th Avenue, 151st Street to 159th Street pavement resurfacing Phase 2 design engineering proposal.
Do we have an ordinance number?
That's not an ordinance.
Oh, sorry.
That's good. Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Fenton.
Move to approve accepting the proposal from HR Green, Inc. of New Lenox, Illinois for 94th Avenue, 151st Street to 159th Street pavement resurfacing, Phase 2 design engineering, the amount not to exceed $45,565.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
Sanitary and storm sewer inspection camera.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Healy.
I move to approve accepting the GSA cooperative contract price of $98,500 to purchase the EnviroSite Roverx mainline sewer inspection system from Standard Equipment Company of Elmhurst, Illinois.
Second.
Any comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
Charlton Highlands Development petition for an amendment to the special use permit with modifications, plat of subdivision, site plan, and landscape plan.
I'll entertain a motion to move to approve the development petition for the amendment to the special use permit with modifications, plat of subdivision, site plan, and landscape plan for Charlton Highlands, a 6.6-acre subdivision generally located at the southwest corner of 163rd Street and 94th Avenue, as recommended to the August 18, 2020 Plan Commission meeting and is fully referenced in the motion below.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Healy, seconded by Malani. Can you give us a quick synopsis?
So the petitioner, David Sossin, is requesting modifications to an existing plan development for the Charlton Highlands subdivision. They are variances to, or modifications to the corner side yard setback and the landscape buffer yard requirements. This is made to accommodate ranch homes on the remaining lots, and it's due to a change in the market from when the subdivision was originally developed in 2005. It came out of the Plan Commission unanimous, that's why it skipped the Committee of the Whole, and it's before the board tonight.
Any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Mr. Mayor, I think there's other motions included in that as well.
They were, it said fully referenced below. So it said all those motions were part of what we referenced. Call the roll.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrella?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye. Now I'll take an ordinance number. We're all a little off with that hour and 20-minute committee of the whole.
5544?
5544. Trustee Dodge.
Move to pass ordinance 55, did you say 5554?
5554.
Entitled Ordinance Authorizing Development Agreement for Orland Park Prayer Center South, parking 16530 to 16650 South 104th Avenue and 140th West 167th Street.
Second.
Any comments over and above what we had in the committee of the whole? Call the roll.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrella?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
Ziegler Auto Group BMW Orland Park Inducement Agreement.
Mr. Mayor,
Trustee Katsinas.
I move to approve a sales tax sharing inducement agreement with Ziegler BMW as outlined above and to incorporate into their final development agreement pending approval of zoning, special use, and building permits.
Second.
Any comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Fenton.
would it be possible to put in this agreement that the inducement agreement, the money does not go into effect until the whole project is finished? So we're not paying for the parking lot by what they get back?
I mean,
So this project is worth over, what, $2-point-some million, the total that they're investing in the BMW dealership? And then the parking lot separate's like 1-point-something million, correct? Roughly, estimated.
Yeah, the total cost has to meet or exceed $4.5 million.
Correct. But can we do that so the incentive doesn't kick in until the whole thing is done? Or does it kick in immediately when the parking lot's finished?
It will only kick in once they reach the base amount of sales. So they start generating.
she's talking about the work that's done. The work that's talked about in the inducement agreement, what it's for. She's talking about making sure that all of the work is done before the agreement. So when does it start? When does the clock start on the tax?
The initial payment year, yeah, shall be that 12-month period commencing December 31st, 2021, each subsequent. So, right, so as long as the first payment's going to happen December 2021.
I think what she's asking is, does it say in there that they have to complete all of the work before the
inducement starts?
Before the inducement starts. It's not the timing of the payment, it's does all the work required to be completed. That's normally in our agreements.
Correct, and we can, if it is not an amendment to add that.
Because I don't think it's in there. That's the reason I was asking.
Is that a formal, are we going to vote on this, or how are we handling this?
Well, first let's find out if it's in there.
Maybe Dennis can look at it, but it looks like it's in B4II.
I thought I saw it in the original draft, but B4II?
What page is that, George?
Page 5.
Yeah, okay.
I think it does say that it needs to be finally completed.
Right, but then it also says, provided, however, once the project has been completed, any aspects of it's not, that haven't been completed. Just as long as we don't start paying them until it's all done.
Potentially the provisions in there if there's, like, they need to install some landscaping.
Right, that's irrelevant, right.
So this says requiring village approval have received such approval from the village as finally completed. In other words, we still have to approve it. So
Right.
I think this, I
Okay.
think it's covered in there.
Right,
It's
okay.
standard language in all our agreements.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Healy?
I noticed that there was, I wasn't going through this last night, I noticed that there was a real estate tax rebate element to this too. I mean, we keep referring to it as a sales tax.
Sales tax. Where do you see that?
I want to say,
If there's a typo that says that, then it is a sales tax rebate. We'll scrub it one more time.
okay.
Yeah, this is purely a sales tax rebate.
Are we,
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Calandrello?
I definitely, this is a good use. I think, however, it's going to be a new policy that we're starting as a village. This is the first time we're allowing parking vehicles. I know we had some issue, a year or two ago at Apple was using Orland Bowles facility. I think this is actually a very dealership pro business thing that we're doing, and I would support it. The key thing is to make sure it looks like an extension of the dealership, not a random parking lot in a random spot. So I think, I think about $1 million, give or take, if they performed, I think it was 7%, whatever the number is, about $1 million we're going to give to them, assuming they go over 7%. And I just think it's, again, we should all know it's a policy change. When the next dealership wants to knock down a strip mall and add some parking, I think we all have to know we just did it, so we have to do it for everyone. Just putting that out there. Again, support it. As someone who grew up in dealerships, I think this is something that we probably should have done a long time ago, and I talked to George about we should maybe try to find some lots that we can use offline, something the village has for other dealerships who have this problem, who maybe don't have that land, because that's the problem is how the auto dealerships work is they get whatever cars the manufacturer gives you, and you have to find out where to store it. So I support this, but we should all know this is a policy change, which I support, but we should also know that, so when the next dealership comes asking for the same deal, we need to stay consistent, at least in my opinion. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Dodge?
So just making sure I heard this right, George and Ed, this is contingent on them completing the anticipated $4.5 million build, correct?
Right.
Okay. And based on the math we heard on Friday, this is potentially, God willing, $1 million incentive, correct?
It really all depends on whether the dealership can sell more cars.
No,
above the base.
I'd love them to be wildly successful, right? I get that. I just want to make sure that, to Trustee Calandrello's point, this program started as an inducement to bring auto dealers to Orland, if memory serves. I don't know, have we used this program or these ideas previously for expansions? For expansions of dealers?
We've used them for expansions regularly, I believe.
Yeah,
correct?
we have. So one example was when BMW relocated from its location on 159th Street further down the corridor to its Wolf Road and built the new dealership. When Mercedes expanded to the previous BMW, they were given a new sales tax sharing agreement.
Just making sure we're consistent with prior to the point of it. As we start to, I don't have a problem broadly with incentive packages to bring things to Orland Park. I just want to make sure that we stay broadly consistent with what we've done in the past.
Absolutely.
And what you guys are saying is, yeah, we have done this types of thing for not only auto dealers, potentially other dealers for incentive packages, correct?
Correct.
Got it. And then I wouldn't mind when this thing is built and we start to see how this thing goes forward, because if they spend, as they say, and I have no reason to I think they're probably going to wind up north of that number, to be honest with you. If they spend $4.5 million and then this goes as projected, this is $1 million incentive, so it's at least almost a quarter of their total project cost coming from future sales tax revenue from the people of Orland Park. So I just would like to see that number at some point.
So
Because where I'm going is I think it gets to how much are we going to invest in some of these projects. That's what I'm after.
And just to piggyback on that, with the Mercedes revised agreement, they were actually given 50% of the projected project costs at the time when that expansion took place.
Okay. And
other-
that may beg we may want to, listen, I've said over a number of years, Orland Park has a lot of advantages going to it, hard-fought, long-term buildup of advantages. We should be smart about leveraging those advantages to kind of keep building out our community. All in for that is a broad idea. Devil's always in the details. So I'm suggesting we don't have to settle it tonight. We talk about this as a broad set of policy initiatives around incentive programs so that we've got the flexibility to do this. Because there'll be more. I'm just going to predict there's a couple of major retailers up at the mall that aren't looking so healthy these days. So I could see us in the future having to co-invest in public-private partnerships. Well, what are the parameters? What's the policy? So I'd like to maybe bring that forward in a committee of the whole meeting. Thank you.
And just to respond to Trustee Calandrello, that we are incentivizing this expansion, but to comment on the performance of Ziegler, they've increased their sales over 300% since they took over in 2013. This parking area will actually help increase the amount of service that they've seen a dramatic increase, which is drawing new customers to the Orland Park market, and it will support all three of their dealerships. With that being said, they're selecting a property that's directly adjacent to their existing dealership and they're consolidating. So it's not exactly just an afterthought parking lot. It's combined into, it'll be an amendment to their existing plan development. So those items are a little bit, just for clarification.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Katsinas.
one thing I found that was interesting that Ziegler said 20 to 25% of his sales were from Orland Park residents. The remainder were from out-of-town people coming in shopping. So I think it's great to work with a business that has that big of a draw, that's bringing people from different communities into Orland Park, spending big money on cars, and hopefully going to our stores and restaurants. And what that piece of property that the parking lot's on, I think we would all agree that was a very challenging piece of property to do a lot of things with because of the wetlands and the marsh that's there. So for 147 parking spaces, he's spending a lot of money. So I hope we have more people like that doing business in Orland Park. So thank you.
Any other comments? So my closing comments will be that, before we vote, is that this is all performance-based, which is the way we do incentives. Like we always talk about incentives, we talk about them on an individual basis, except for some that we passed here recently through COVID. But this is pretty much a standard one that we've given for expansions and auto dealers. What has changed is that it's for a parking area. However, this board has discussed on numerous occasions that I'm aware of how we're going to handle the parking issues that we know our dealers face and how we're going to help and how we're going to deal with that. We've talked about a lot of different potential solutions. This is a great one. BMW is actually solving the problem, and we're just providing incentive, which is performance-based. They sell more cars, they win, we win. So it's a good thing for everybody. Call the roll.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye, motion carries.
Debt modification, fine reduction, 8611 167th Street.
I'll entertain a motion to approve a debt modification fine reduction for 8611 167th Street, Orland Park, Illinois, from $34,000 to $5,000.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved by trustee Healy, seconded by trustee Malani. George, can you give us a quick synopsis of this?
So the village code has a process for debt modification. Anything over $5,000 requires a village board approval. In this particular instance, a homeowner or a property owner did not properly register for the village's rental ordinance and was fined by default because they weren't attending our adjudication. So the default, initial ticket was $500, I believe, right? Yeah, but just the initial, I believe, was $500, and then because that person was ignoring us, that just rolled up to $34,000. So now we're at the point where that individual is looking to clear the lien because we liened the property, and there's that's where the debt modification request is at before you now. So it will reduce it from $34,000, which is very high, it seems, down to $5,000, but that $5,000 is still much higher than the initial fine was in this instance.
How much did the lien cost us to go get?
Liens, lien in Cook County, what is it? Is it $70, $70? Yeah.
89 to file.
How much?
89 to file. Sorry, go ahead.
So the lien actual filing amounts are minimal.
Okay.
Mr.
Any
Chairman?
questions and comments? Trustee Katsinas.
Yeah, I would be in favor of this individual property owner completely ignored, did not show up at municipal court. I think a more fair approach would be a fine plus how much our legal fees were, that they should have to pay them. If there's any way we can put a price tag on that. $5,000 seems awfully cheap, when they don't show up and ignore. I mean, we have ordinance and rules for a reason. Now they want to sell, so now they want to make a deal. I think 34 might be high, but I think 5 is too low.
So, this is the board's prerogative. The board has that flexibility, obviously. We can stick with the 34, or we can find some other amount. I think as far as legal costs are concerned, they were probably minimal because they just weren't coming, and it's just part of our adjudication. So it goes from a $500 ticket to $5,000, but if the board's not comfortable with $5,000, we can increase it.
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Fenton.
I agree with trustee Katsinas. I mean, this is sending a message that, don't show up at court, don't do what you're supposed to do, you can do whatever you want, and we'll rack up the fines and do it the way we're supposed to do per the code. But when it comes down to the final thing, if you come and plead your case, we'll take it down from 34 to 5,000, whether it's 60,000 down to 5,000. But I mean, they knew the rules, they knew what it was. I totally agree. I think that 5,000 is awfully cheap. Plus, it's just sending a bad message.
Mayor Pico.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Dodge.
Picking up on Trustee Katsinas' points, did we ever get a coherent explanation from whoever this entity or person was as to why they ignored us?
I don't know what the coherent explanation why they ignored us, but eventually they did meet the requirements.
So the claim from the property owner why it was ignored was that the notices were delivered to the tenants and the tenants weren't passing those along to the property owner. So she claimed that she was unaware. We tried to come into contact with her, and this is where we ended up.
Mayor Pico, just continuing my comments, it's like, okay, there's got to be another way to solve that problem. So that's maybe something that we should take on. And is it an individual who now wants out of the property, or is it some type of corporate entity that owns this?
It's an individual.
Do we believe that this person didn't or did not know about the ordinance?
I believe that the village did their best effort to contact this person, and that the $5,000 is a reasonable amount given the time expended and everything.
So if we sent it to the address in question and it wasn't being forwarded, there was no other information that we could have gotten easily from, let's say, county?
I believe the code enforcement staff at the time were making phone calls as well, but this
Okay.
was, yeah.
All right, where I'm going is, yeah, I don't have a problem reducing this from 34,000. I don't know if I'm entirely comfortable going down all the way to 5.
Sure.
You know, I think, Mayor Peacock, to your point, we have incurred costs to keep issuing these things in all the papers. So, I mean, if we did anything, I'd like to make sure that there's a portion of this for our actual costs and whatever this board agrees to as the punishment, I guess that's the right word. And then, you know, put it back on staff. We got to find another way to get at who the hell owns the property so we don't go through this again. It's painful for them, painful for us. It's a paper chase.
Correct.
Right.
That handles foreclosures, but it doesn't handle something like this where they
This
just
was
ignore,
rental property.
You know,
Yeah, I'm sure.
rental property. So I agree with you. That's a way to do it, but I would have no problems turning it over to them to do it if it's something they can provide.
Mr. Mayor?
That'd be a
Did
fine
we
solution.
know it was rental property?
I think a fair number of people rent and
That's what's-
don't realize this ordinance is in effect.
Probably true.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Katsinas.
Looking at the company that was hired to register foreclosures, they do have a rental component in there, in their business plan, so that might be something to consider as well.
Okay. Yes.
That component's part of that, and when we bring it to the board, So I guess then the question is, do we want to layer in our costs? Maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's $383. I don't know what your actual costs were for all of this paperwork.
And time.
I don't know, do we just do this with staff, or do we have to go to outside legal counsel to file? There has to be an accumulated bill for this, correct?
Yeah, Ed, what would you guess would be the total amount of time spent on this?
So when we build in a $500 administrative fee to the filing and the cost of the lien already. So given the amount of time, I mean, the notices, this was over several court dates. That's where we kind of, between myself and Jason, the code enforcement officer, we arrived at this number, but it wasn't to the penny, I would say.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Calandrello.
So the code is anything over $5,000, the administrative hearing officer cannot adjust? Is that the code as we stand?
Technically, the administrative hearing officer, after they issue the fine, there is a short appeal period, and then after that, they are out of that process.
Right.
So as far as debt modifications, a few months ago, the board approved a very specific debt modification process. So anything under $5,000, we have a process where it can be administratively done, as long as it meets criteria. Anything above $5,000, in order to be modified, requires board approval.
I know I do this work for other towns, and the administrative hearing officer has a lot more flexibility. I mean, we do day for day. That's a way of just jacking up the price, and I understand the policy. And if you think about it, $250 a day for not registering, I can see $250 a day if your house was falling apart. You know, and so I think I'll trust staff and recommendation that the $5,000 is a fair price. And I actually we should maybe look into adjusting that, giving the administrative hearing officer power, because if you think about it, this house, I just did Zillow, I know that's not the best price range, but it's a $250,000 house. So I would put this house, get this house back flowing in the process other than being abandoned and becoming a foreclosure property. So that's why I think we need to get more flexibility, and that's because that's the whole point, is we want to get them back to snuff, and then hopefully the house gets sold into a good owner. So I think as a board we shouldn't try to over penalize for one single homeowner. So that's why I would stick with the 5.
So what happens on a normal circumstance is that if someone doesn't show up for their municipal violation notice, there's an automatic default judgment of $1,000. That usually gets everybody's attention, and they come to the next administrative hearing, and then it's at that point that the law judge can modify that $1,000 default, but they actually have to show up and they have to participate in the process. And in this case, they did not.
I understand the process. I'm just kind of making a point that this is going to try an unproductive home, trying to get it to productive, and we're only talking about a $205,000 piece of property. So if we go up to 20, 30 grand, this probably won't be sellable or go to foreclosure where we could have a easier flip, so to speak. That's
Any other comments? Okay, I understand everyone's points here. I would not be in favor of giving an administrative hearing officer the ability to bring a $34,000 debt down to $5,000. I think our policy to handle it the way we do and then bring it here, and if it's below $5,000, to be handled administratively by you, George, is fine. But we get elected to handle these decisions, and a $29,000 decision should not be made by an appointed hearing officer. So with that said, I also understand the difficulty. You put a $10,000 fine on this place, then it doesn't sell, it goes into foreclosure, we have all those problems. So I'm comfortable with staff having used good judgment here for $5,000 for what was originally a $250 fine, correct? So I'm okay with that, but I also think that we should be looking at, if this was good for foreclosures, let's look at this for rentals as well. It's not something our staff needs to chase around. If it costs us a few $100s, or actually costs the rental properties a few $100s to register it or what have you, then let's look at that, and then we can add that to the cost of the fine. So at this point, the motion to be voted on is to approve a debt modification fine reduction for 8611 167th Street from $34,000 to $5,000. Call the roll.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Trustee Fenton.
No.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Calendrello.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
No.
Mayor Pico.
Aye, motion carries 5-2.
Temporary outdoor dining areas during COVID-19 pandemic, reaffirming ordinance number 5513, amending Title 7 of the Orland Park Village Code.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani.
I move to reaffirm the previously adopted ordinance number 5513 entitled an ordinance amending Title 7 Business and License of the Orland Park Village Code to continue to provide support to restaurants in Orland Park during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? And just for everyone's edification, we're expanding the outdoor program later into the year because of all the restrictions that are currently placed. I think it's a good idea, and I know we're certainly looking at, even when this is over, to look at some outdoor dining options that we might have because it's been pretty popular. So we'll see how what the winter brings. I know there's a lot of different ideas, and I'm sure people will come up with some good ones and some bad ones. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Katsinas.
Just a quick thing with a lot of outdoor tents, and they're doing propane heating elements. We're going to bring in the fire district too.
So the village is actually the authority, but we can consult
Right.
with the fire district, and that's part of the outreach that we'll be doing to the businesses, is to provide tips on how to come into compliance with snow load requirements or heating it appropriately so that we don't create a worse situation.
Okay, just wanted to put these guys to work that are still here. Thank you, Ed.
Any other questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Trustee Fenton.
Aye.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Calendrello.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye, motion carries.
Orland Fire Protection District Training Facility Development Petition for Site Plan Elevations Landscape Plan Special Use Permit Amendment with Modifications.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Katsinas.
I move to approve the site plan, landscape plan, elevations, and amendments to the special use permit for the plan development with modifications to allow for multiple buildings on a single lot and for a special use permit to allow outdoor storage not meeting the requirements of Section 6/208-B for the Orland Fire Protection District Training Facility located at 10728 West 163rd Place, and to recommend at the September 2, 2020 Plan Commission meeting and fully referenced in the motion below.
Second.
Can you give a quick summary?
Sure. The fire district proposes to expand their existing training facility that is a regional training facility for multiple emergency service organizations. It includes the expansion of a driving pad for not only the fire district to utilize, but potentially Public Works as well. So there's some cooperation there. And the other items that they're proposing are these, they're actually cargo containers that they use as training props for different certifications through their fire safety training. One of the props will be made to resemble or to be trained for a strip center, commercial strip mall, and the other, as it goes up, it will resemble what they encounter on a elder care facility. So this was held at a special meeting for the Plan Commission, and it came out of the Plan Commission with unanimous approval as well.
Any other questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Calendrello.
Aye.
Trustee Fenn.
Aye.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye.
Acceptance of the fiscal year 2019 comprehensive annual financial report.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Healy.
I move to approve accepting the fiscal year 2019 comprehensive annual financial report ending December 31st, 2019.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Calendrello.
Aye.
Trustee Fenton.
Aye.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I think we have our auditor on the line. If there are any questions, he is also on the
We
line.
didn't have any questions. Thanks for joining, but you can leave now.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Which button? Right.
COVID-19 update.
Sure, can you put up the slides? Give a brief update, it's been a while. Make it brief. Go to slideshow. There you go, next slide. So the cases, as we've talked about many times, this is the cases in the state of Illinois and also suburban Cook County since the beginning. It's not the most reliable indicator. This is really highly evidenced by last Friday when they reported like 5,400 cases, relative, so more than 1,000 more than the biggest peak ever, with really no explanation until they were pressed. Flip to the next slide. And that's because they did they reported almost 150,000 tests, which is pretty near triple the most they've ever done before. And so essentially what this is showing is that the cases and the testing are not very reliable because they're not reported very reliably, so it's all over the place. Also, I know that they're including the results of the U of I cases, but they're not including the testing, and U of I is testing their students every week. But they're not including it because it's a saliva-based test, but yet they include the cases. So it's not the best data to be making judgments on because it's pretty inconsistent. If you look at the testing rates, they've stayed pretty consistent below 5%. There's a couple days that were above that statewide. So roll on down. So this is why, and I actually cut this straight from today's, sometimes I put it in a slide format, but today I cut it straight from the website itself. This is COVID-19 hospitalizations by report date in suburban Cook County. And this is what I've been saying all along is the important statistic because it's accurate. After 2 or 3 days, it's accurate. If someone gets admitted to the hospital, we know their admit date and it's reported. If they turn out positive for COVID, it's then reported and they update it. So that's why you see that tail at the end. It'll probably creep up a couple. Ahmad could probably, if he's here, could probably comment on the fact that we always see that tail always bump up a little bit because there's a lag for 2 or 3 days. But as you can see, since June 12th, suburban Cook County, I think if you looked at that 7-day moving average, it's varied between 9 and 11 since June 12th. So June, July, August, September, I mean, so almost 3 full months now. So it's been pretty steady through the whole time. And you can see with that compared to the over 120 there at the peak that we were running for almost a month. So this is the real indicator that gives you a really good feel for what's going on. And even if you did no testing with the rest of the population, this would tell you what's going on in the population. It would give you a very good idea of how serious this is at the moment. So that's where we're at right now. Daily cases here in Orland Park have remained low. They've ticked up about 1.5 a day in the last 3 months, but we're fully open, so it's not a huge surprise. But we still see suburban Cook County cases, hospitalizations are way low. We know that Silver Cross had 17 and no one in ICU, 17 total cases, which is very low. So very, very low cases, and you can see the testing's ramped up since June, and it varies a little bit, but that's basically what we see. Deaths, this is the other good indicator, although it lags by a few weeks. So hospitalizations lags by a few days, deaths by a few weeks. It gives you a really good indication of what's going on. Deaths here in suburban Cook County have pretty much been below 10, except I think 1 day since the middle of July. So you can see that it's been very flat. So that gives you a pretty good indicator that the cases that are remaining are not, the amount of serious cases are way minimized compared to what they were back around May 1st when you saw 80 a day. Flip to the next one. Orland Park's experienced something similar. So you can see we've had 2 deaths since June 11th and none since 23rd of July. Obviously all the deaths are serious. The average age in this case for Orland Park is 84. 97% of those had serious health conditions according to the medical examiner. So, so that's what's happening, and you see Orland Park kind of mirrors what you're seeing in suburban Cook County, that, the serious cases seem to have gone away, and partly some of the specialists believe that it's mutated some. The other thing is that it may very well have hit the most vulnerable populations first, which we saw with the long-term care facility, so that the people who are getting it now are not as sick from it. So one of the things you hear about cases, and this is a little bit of a strange chart, but I'll explain it. Infectious disease specialists have said from the beginning they're worried about the days to double. They look at the days to double because that tells you how fast something is spreading, which if you think about how it multiplies, if you've seen the pictures of the growing bubbles and all of that, it's how fast something multiplies. So if you backed off from today, it's been 70 days since we doubled. If you back that off, it was 53 days before that. And if you back that off, it would be 18 days to double before that. So it's slowing. And it's not surprising that it's slowing a little bit. It's not slowing as quickly because we fully opened. We started opening things back up, and so we're fully open. But it's still slowing. If you looked at the rate today and you looked at the current caseload, you'd be looking at about 114 days to double. So we've seen a continued slowing of this, which is good. Region 10, which is the predominant region of our town, there is Region 7, which we know has been rolled back, but we really don't have any businesses impacted by that. There's been 3 days of positivity increases. This is straight from the IDPH website. The medical bed availability is actually up, so is the ICU bed, and that's not just COVID, that's all illnesses. So and typically they run at less availability than this, actually. They typically run about 20 to 25%. So we're doing very well in the region. Next. This also is, so the emergency response region, which is not the same as our COVID region, but it's the Southwest Suburban Hospital region that we're in. 41% of ICU beds, 80% of ventilators. That's up. The last time I did this, it was like 34 and 78 or something. So it's not really, hasn't really been an issue. Again, we're looking for 20% here. We have much more than that. So we have lots of availability. Something else that I think is interesting is that we started tracking this about 10 days ago because, exactly 10 days ago, because with schools, parochial schools and some other schools going back in session, colleges going back in session, and from all the information we've gathered, it appears that they go by address of their actual domicile, their normal domicile. So if they're in college, it still reports back here if they're getting it. You can see that 50% of the cases are 29 and under, and we've only had one case 80 and over, so that's very good. The vulnerable population is, being protected. They're doing the right things. And, right now what we're seeing is it's spreading a little bit through the youth, which is not surprising. They were sequestered for a summer, and now they're starting to engage with one another more, even those that, I know that the ones that I've seen out of school that haven't started yet, they're all hanging out together, as kids will do. They can only keep them apart for so long. So I think we're seeing, good trends in all that direction. The other thing is Orland Park's a very active community, and obviously we're fully open, have been since the 20th, allowing each business to do what they think is appropriate, and we've provided them a lot of guidance. And our case rate is still less than Illinois case rate, and that includes all of Illinois, so that includes the really, really low incidents and all the high incidents. So overall, we're better than average. We're way better than, about 20% better than suburban Cook, which is not the city, so that's all the other suburbs, and then obviously way better than Chicago. So I think that's important to note. And really, that's the end of it. So overall, we're doing pretty well here in Orland Park, and we've certainly had a lot of events, and we're open, and we're still doing a great job. So kudos to staff for all your hard work through all that, and just wanted to give everybody an update.
Mayor Pecom?
Trustee Dodge.
Just a couple of comments. So appreciate staff sharing the numbers. Certainly looks favorable on these kind of numbers in terms of overall. What I would like to do is again remind the people of Orland Park at the individual level, this is still a very serious disease, and death rates are low, hospitalizations are low, hospitalizations are flat. I think those numbers speak for themselves. The brutal reality is there's new emerging medical evidence, data, that this can strike the individual and leave very serious lingering consequences, and I don't think that science or that data is yet fully understood or fully complete. And I just think that we all need to take precautions, and quite frankly, just want to emphasize again, if we all take and follow the reasonable precautions at the individual level, follow CDC guidelines, then hopefully these numbers stay consistently going in the right direction, especially as we come upon the flu season, and while we all wait for better defined medical treatment protocols, let alone potentially the vaccine. So again, just want to emphasize thank you. This numbers tell a pretty good story. I don't think we're done yet as a society. We got to stay diligent when following the guidelines.
Any other comments? All right, we're on non-scheduled visitors. A reminder to the visitors that you have 3 minutes. So John Gardner.
Yes, I'd like to address something, just kind of a quick SWOT format. The strength of our government is what we're witnessing here. But the weakness tonight is my neighbors and I stood out there while you had a very important thing to discuss, which was the replacing the police chief. Nothing went up here on the board from the agenda that we would be heard, et cetera, and then we were told, okay, it was discussed, it's dismissed, et cetera. One of our concerns is the drainage from this potential development at the corner of 132nd and 88th Avenue. When we were here last time, one of the developers sat here and in a rather snarky, dismissive thing said, hey, there's no water problem. I live on this street, I can see it rolling downhill, and I believe, and I'm sure that the city architects will find that at one end of the street, Butterfield, near where the old police chief lived, maybe 15 feet lower than where this is going. Now, this area has been woods and therefore could absorb the water, et cetera. Now with buildings, and I understand nice property taxes are going to come the way of, to Orland Park, but that water's got to go someplace. And when we asked about it, he kind of prevaricated in a snarky way and never really answered the question. And we just want to know if that is going to be looked at, if we have another chance to sit down with the city architects, et cetera, or have we been dismissed because we didn't roar in here and find our agenda piece?
If the board
that's my question.
If the board doesn't oppose, we can reopen the public hearing. Anybody have a problem with that?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to reopen the public hearing on the annexation agreement for the properties located at 13201 88th Avenue, also known as the Megan Nicole Ridge subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
You still have a couple minutes.
That's predominantly what I wanted to say, is that I wanted to make sure that Cook County, Orland Park had addressed this issue in the concerns of the people who currently live there. That property was leveled, bulldozed, et cetera, and left as an eyesore for 2.5 years. We don't know for sure who is going to, I don't want to say litigate, but who's going to oversee that pond and that drainage. And is it Cook County, is it Orland Park? How is that going to work?
So I can answer some of this, Ed, and fill in where I get it wrong. So one, we're annexing this so that the village has control, and the village has control over this pond to make sure that it's properly maintained. If we allowed it to go into Cook County, we would not have control over it. So we do have control over it from that standpoint. Also, the pond has to be sized to MWRD's new pond requirements, which are actually much more stringent than they were, and I would say, based on everything that I've talked to, probably overkill. But they're asking the new developers to address issues that should have been addressed 30 years ago. And so new developers are actually paying for the fact that others didn't do this, and that would be my take on the new rules and regulations. So they have a pond that has to actually size for all of their buildings, and the requirements are much higher than they were just 12 months ago. Ed, is there anything to add or anything I got wrong?
That is correct. So they're using higher level rainfall data that provides an additional amount of storage. In addition to that, in the pond itself, there's a volume control structure that helps contain the water and control runoff. What I can say is it will be under the jurisdiction of the Village of Orland Park. This will be a privately maintained pond. That is one that's proposed, but we will be working with the Homeowners Association to identify what maintenance is necessary so that those items are periodically maintained. If not, we will be imposing that, having the discussion about the special service area. Should the village have to go in and make those improvements themselves, they'll have a mechanism for funding. It's come into compliance with the rules and requirements for the Village of Orland Park as well as the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District prior to the approval of this.
And the explanation on the special service agreement, which people don't understand it, basically part of the agreement here is that we can impose a special service agreement, and they don't have a choice. They're going to have to accept it if they don't maintain the pond. They're going to privately maintain it. If they don't maintain it to our standards, then we can take it over and take over the maintenance, but we can charge them for the cost of that maintenance. So we have put all of those safeguards in place to make sure that we don't have water problems, and I believe, for the most part in Orland Park, we've resolved most of those issues. In fact, there's a couple places I know of that have some issues, and most of that's actually due to people modifying their backyards, and we're trying to address those, and that's maybe like 12 or 13 homes in all of Orland right now.
But from our last visit here, we had far more of our neighbors, and we want to make sure that it is, instead of begging forgiveness, that they ask permission. And if they do that in the proper confines of the regulations of the Village of Orland Park, then we're fine. But I would like to know how that is proceeding. Is there a way?
They have already. They've designed their pond. We essentially approved their design of their pond as based on the recommendations of both the Planning Commission and our Development Services, and MWRD has also approved all of those. So we've all confirmed that they meet all of the current laws and requirements, which is all we can really hold them to, is the current laws and requirements, but those are much more substantial than they were even a year ago. And we actually, with this one, the Planning Commission did not approve it. They recommended some changes to us. We did not approve it. We demanded the changes. They made the changes, then we approved it. So that's how this process has worked. So all of those things have been done, and they have met all of those requirements to allow them to construct. And then we will inspect their construction to make sure they meet all of the design requirements that they put in their plans.
And I hope you understand that as the neighbors, neighborhood, et cetera, it's a question of trust. We would just want to trust, and it sounds to me like you've put all of those pieces in place, and we just hope that we don't have to be back here again with any other concerns.
I'm pretty confident with all of our new construction areas that we don't have these issues. The issues we seem to have are with construction areas from about 15 to 20 years ago, and it's only a couple, and it's mostly people have modified their own backyards, so.
So just to add one more thing, the subdivision that in question now is approved very similarly to the way all homes were approved. So the requirements that we're imposing on them actually now are more stringent than what was there previously. So potentially there was issues that you saw, and that could have been caused because there was not development there. But we account for the lot coverage, we account for the development that's going to take place, and oftentimes the Village of Orland Park requirements for stormwater are more stringent than what the MWRD would require. So I understand some of the concerns, how this project has taken place, but they have checked all the boxes and they've followed all the rules and requirements applicable to them.
And we're aware of the clear cutting and all those things. Unfortunately, that at that time it was Cook County, and all we could do was advocate on Orland's behalf because it's a neighbor, and we tried to do that, but that's all we can do. Now, the rest of the project, now that they're annexed, once this annex agreement is signed, it's in Orland Park, so they have to follow Orland Park's rules, not Cook County. So that's good for everybody. It's good for you, good for us. Believe it or not, the tax dollars, not so good. I mean, generally, we lose money on every house, you know, as far as the services that they get versus what they actually pay, and that's true for every residence here and every other town. So people don't realize that. Where we actually have a positive is usually in the business community. It's the residential areas are actually use more services than they pay for. So it's not the tax benefit that we're doing it. We're doing it because we want to make sure we have control and we don't have all those problems that you're discussing, because we worry about that too.
Okay.
Mayor
Well, thank
Pecan.
you for the time, and
You're welcome.
Mayor Pecan.
we hope it works out just the way that you have planned.
I just want to emphasize something you said, and for the residents, that generally stated, you're far better off to have something near your home built and annexed into Orland Park than you are the county. I can assure you that a number of the subdivisions in Orland that were originally built in the county have taken years of work to get them to a better standard. So I just want to emphasize that point, that yeah, there's some issues we had to work through, as the mayor said, but you're far better off having it in Orland than not, if I may.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Pico, I think you had another public comment there.
Yeah, but this is public comment. We just opened the public hearing.
Is there anyone else in the public that wants to speak on this issue?
It's on a different issue.
You have to take the roll.
Okay, call the roll.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello?
Aye.
Trustee Ely?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye. Okay, non-scheduled visitors, Laura Kresmer, and again, a reminder, you have 3 minutes.
It's nice to see the board together again. My original intent tonight was to thank our mayor and our trustees who voted in favor of hosting, planning, and flawlessly executing safe, fun events for the summer of 2020. Without having these events, this summer would have been meaningless and, quite honestly, the worst summer in recent and not so recent history. I am, and as I also speak for many others, grateful and blessed to have a mayor and at least 3 trustees who truly care about our village and our residents. To be fair, 4 trustees voted in favor of the taste, although 1 trustee adamantly denies voting for the event. Their hard work and dedication to our village and residents is second to none. They truly believe people should be treated as adults and should make their own decisions based on what is best for their lives, not based on unconstitutional orders and science that appears to change on an hourly basis. Thank you to our mayor and our 3 trustees who gave us a great summer. Now it seems as though Orland Park is experiencing what I like to refer to as Groundhog Day, the reference to the movie where a man keeps reliving the same day over and over again. Yes, it's fictional, but with this being said, I feel as though we have a real-life Groundhog Day in our village. A trustee who at the last village board meeting said, and I'm paraphrasing, that politics need to be left out of our feelings and how the board votes, etc. This is the trustee who has posted a politically charged Facebook post regarding the taste of Orland immediately before and following the event. Well, guess what? He's at it again, attempting to play the same power politics of the old guard. He has struck again with a Facebook post that is politically charged in an attack against our mayor. This time, it is regarding the condition of one of the village's parks. Many residents responded to this post, and once again, many comments that did not agree with this trustee's narrative were deleted, same as last time. The comments being deleted are facts that he is uncomfortable hearing. While the trustee or his proxy, who owns his professional page, have yet to publicly reply to comments, it is imperative to note that it is yet another unprovoked attack on our mayor and our village. This is yet another embarrassment to our village. He still does not appear to have the capacity to understand that his continued attempts to discredit our mayor and 3 other trustees is a detriment to the village as well as his own political career. He forgets that many of these same people he attacks are the very same people who supported him in his unsuccessful bid for Illinois State Treasurer. I am quite alarmed and embarrassed that a trustee from our village continues to act in this manner again. You are a disgrace to our village. I thought politics needed to be left out of the equation. It is a shame that you keep acting juvenile and keep repeating the same mistakes and actions over and over again, expecting different results, which by definition is insanity. Stop the insanity and think about our village and our residents in your remaining time as a trustee. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments. Is there anybody else to speak tonight? Okay, board comments. Trustee Fenton.
I'd like to remind everybody, that on Saturday, September 12th, the museum is having their program Trial by Fire, and it's about the Salem witch trials, and it's a great program to start off the Halloween and the fall season. It's Saturday, September 12th from 11 to 12:30. Museum members are $10, non-members are $15. And then September 17th through the 20th out at the Stellwagen Farms, the Stellwagen family will be hosting tours on Thursday and Saturday from 10 to 4, Sunday 1 to 4. It's free to go on the tours, and it's very educational because the family is the heart and soul of that farm. And to learn about the history that goes with it, it's just wonderful. And if they have vegetables from what's been grown there, they give them away too, so we can get that. But we sometimes do they put out a butter churn. And if you'd like to donate $5 or whatever to the farm, it all goes to the restoration. We're currently restoring the house. We're doing all of the inside work. We're down to the natural floors. The wallpaper's been taken off. Now we have to put in the electric to bring it up to code, and before we get fined. And then also we're doing the flooring. So we're working on that. It's going to come back to what the family's been working with. They took all their stuff out, except they did leave a lot of artifacts that were for the time period that we're restoring the house to. If you have the time, go out there. It's a phenomenal tour, and what you learn out there, it's just really unbelievable to think that this farm was part of Orland Park and what Orland Park was compared to what it is today. It's a lot of fun, and the family really gets into it, and they do demonstrations too. That's it.
Trustee Dutch.
Just a couple of comments. Trustee Calandrello and I met with the folks from Ziegler on Friday, I believe it was, correct? Staff was there. And it was a good meeting, and it was encouraging to hear all of the reasons why they wanted to expand their investment in Orland Park. And, as a matter of personal pride, those strengths have been built up over many years, a lot of smart decisions from previous boards. And again, it was encouraging to see that being so front and center with a business enterprise that wanted to stay and expand in Orland Park, and we had a pretty healthy conversation. So that was encouraging. And then just briefly, I'll reiterate what I've said previously, which is while I am in office, I will continue to use this microphone, which is funded by the people of Orland Park, to stick to the issues and the merits of a given vote, like what we had tonight with Ziegler. There's a number of things that were good about this. We had a healthy conversation, and off we go. And, quite frankly, tonight is a great celebration of the First Amendment. We all have our First Amendment rights. We're all going to choose what platform we're going to exercise those First Amendment rights on. And I'd quite frankly encourage a number of the recent speakers from the public in Orland Park, you should run for office.
Trustee Calandrello.
Just very briefly, I hope everyone had a good Labor Day. I'm a big historian, and I know Trustee Healy is, but Labor Day, as a lot of people know or should know, is that Chicago is pretty much the home of the labor movement, and we could talk for hours about that. I'm sure John could talk a little bit about that too. But I think it's good to teach our children about what Labor Day is, other than the end of summer and the barbecues and whatnot. So I thought it was a good shout out that I hope everyone enjoy Labor Day, but also if you don't know what it's about, look it up, Google it, or whatever the saying is now with the kids. So second of all, I just want to thank Joe Mitchell. Congratulations on his Chief Mitchell. He's going to do a really great job, and he's going to continue to make sure the force is #1 in the nation. So congratulations and good luck. Thank you.
Trustee Healy.
Congratulations, I guess, Chief Mitchell, on becoming a police chief. This is a law and order suburb, and I know you'll keep it with law and order, but it also needs the cooperation of the residents as well as the board to help maintain a village that has law and order as one of its key principles. And I'm looking forward to the concert on Saturday. So thanks.
Trustee Malani.
Well, I'm early. Yes, Chief Mitchell. Where'd he go? Thank you for everything that you've done in the past and you'll continue to do in your new role. You're going to do a tremendous job and you're really going to bring some value to that position, so thank you. I'd also like to say thank you to several people in this room, and it's our staff. I mean, this weekend we had concert in the park. Previously we had the free concerts at Centennial West, and we have several of them coming up. And people are here thanking the trustees for making it a great summer. We can't do it without the staff that's in here. They work their butts off to make sure that these events are safe and successful. We had probably record-setting attendance at the concert in the park this weekend. Probably looked like over 500 people, and people were having a great time. They were keeping away from each other and just enjoying themselves, and that's really what it's all about, and that's what our staff does. So really thank you for all of that. So looking forward to the next concert coming up here. It's going to be a great lineup, and also keep in mind that the Brewfest is coming up as well. So thank you.
Thank you. So, as
Excuse me.
oh, Cindy, I forgot Cindy. How did I forget you?
Oh, I'm shrinking.
I had a moment.
It's getting late. You had a moment.
Don't worry, I've got you covered
Okay,
down
everybody,
here.
you witnessed that. Keith had a moment.
She's talked
Mike-
more tonight than she normally does. I didn't figure
Well,
she had
Mike
anything
kind
else
of
to
stole
say.
my thunder here, so, but.
That's why I let him go first.
There you go. It was a testament to our police department to see all the officers that came here tonight and the former chief. So, I mean, we can be very, very proud of a department that Chief McCarthy helped create. You certainly by his side, but for all of them to come out, Chief Mitchell, for you speaks volumes. So you're stepping in with a lot of support. Wish you nothing but the best, and thank you for stepping up to this role. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Cindy. My first comment tonight, Trustee Calandrello, I wanted to wait till you were in person to say this. As the chairman, it's my responsibility, I think, to correct some things when they're incorrect. And, even tonight we saw people get, board members get attacked by, have rough comments made about them or made to us by residents. We've all experienced it. We've all, just taken it. I thought it was inappropriate. I certainly wasn't thrilled that you're gloating over the village losing an action before we were briefed on it, but that's within your right. But to rub it in the face of a resident is really, who the plaintiff, is really uncalled for. The resident's not a board member, so doesn't take any of the jabs back and forth, and he didn't even address the board or say anything to the board. He just put his name on a lawsuit with the village. You did this in a public meeting, not a personal email or social media post, which is all within your right. So I do think you owe him a public apology. It was an embarrassment to the village, the board, and yourself. So that's my position on that. On a more positive note, I want to point out that tonight, we had a good meeting. We approved additional parking lot and path repaving. We continued our emphasis on improving our infrastructure. We also approved a performance-based incentive for expansion at BMW. As Trustee Dodge says, the BMW met with our trustees. That was something that, that George and I talked about making sure happened, because I thought it was important for the board to hear from BMW, because I thought it was a good plan, but it was important for them to hear directly from them. So at a time when a lot of development is on hold, Orland Park continues to have projects come in. We also expanded our outdoor dining in the winter months to help our restaurants. I also would like to commend staff for safely putting on the concert series at Centennial Park West a couple weeks ago, where we had over 2,000 people enjoy themselves safely, and for your work at the Concert in the Park series. I know that's not easy, and you came up with a great plan, and it worked fantastically. Thank you also for developing a plan to resume preschool starting next week and safely do that. So great job. Chief, it's my great pleasure to call you Chief Mitchell. Retired Chief McCarthy felt that you were the man for the job and helped develop your skills so that you could seamlessly step into the role. Like him, I have the utmost confidence in you. I encourage residents to come out for the Centennial Park West Concert Series this Saturday. We have Hillbilly Rock Stars, Chicago 6, which includes 3 85 Bears members, Dan Hampton, Steve McMichael, and Otis Wilson, and then as well 16 Candles. The show starts at 4:30. Just like last time, there will be an option to watch from the parking lot as well. So you'll be able, if you don't want to come into the park itself, you can watch it from the parking lot and watch it on the LED screens, which I think worked great. And I think we're working on some sound improvements out there as well. You could listen through your car radio, but it was a little bit different. I think we're trying to make some changes to that. Ray, is that correct? Perfect. Also on September 19th, please join us for the Brewfest. With that, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Mayor, before that, may I make, since you called me out?
No, you may not.
The rules of Robert's Rule of Order
No,
allows
you
me
may
to.
not. You're out of order.
I appeal the rule of the chair, which requires a vote of the board.
You're again out of order. It would be called a point of order if you'd like to make that. So if
A
you would.
point of order to overrule the chair. And I call
Under what grounds?
that I believe that the decision that you're against the Robert's Rule of Order, if you address in particular by name a board member, that board member should be able to respond. That's in the Robert's Rule of Order.
As the chair, I have the responsibility to handle decorum on this board floor. And there's nothing in Robert's rules that states what you said. So my decision stands, which is to not allow you to speak. The board can vote on it. Call the roll. If you vote aye, you're upholding the chair's decision and not allowing him to speak. If you vote nay, you're letting him speak.
Trustee Fenn?
Nay.
Trustee Dodge?
Nay.
Trustee Calandrella?
Nay.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye. The chair's ruling is upheld. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Fenton.
move to go into executive session for the purpose of A, security procedures and response to danger to safety of the public or village staff or property. B, pending litigation against or affecting or on behalf of the village when found by the board that such action is prominent or imminent. And C, setting price for sale or lease of village property.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrella?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.